Direct action principles. We are protectors. We are peaceful and prayerful. Isms have no place here. We are nonviolent. Respect locals. We are proud to stand. No mask. No weapons or what could be considered a weapon. All campers must get an orientation.
Hi, I'm Earth Mom, aka Helena, and those were the direct action principles of the water protectors. They were placed prominently at the Wiconi camp at Standing Rock. They were in the area of the sacred fire where we all met every morning for prayer, and then at night there were round dances, and the main kitchen was there for a good while. This video takes you with me to Standing Rock. I was fortunate to go and visit Standing Rock during September, October, November, and I wanted to share with you what I saw there, what I felt there, and what other people had to say about it. It was really an honor to be there with the Native people and to learn from them and just to be with them. And it was also a very big privilege standing with all the water protectors, standing for Mother Earth and praying with them. So basically on this video we have interviews of people at Standing Rock, and you also come with us on some direct actions and you see pictures of the camp. There are also interviews before I went to Standing Rock, during Standing Rock, and after. And the thing is, Standing Rock is way more than Standing Rock. It's standing up for Mother Earth. It's standing up for treating rights. It's standing up for our Native brothers and sisters, and it's also learning from our Native brothers and sisters, learning how to live in harmony with Mother Earth. So I hope you'll enjoy what we put together. Thank you.
And protect our land, protect our water. Remember, this is treaty territory, 1851, 1868 treaties. We made a treaty with the government because they begged us for peace. They begged us because they couldn't defeat us on the battlefield. So we made this treaty with them and they broke it. That's the reason why we're here, because they don't honor their own constitution. We're educated, we know how to read, we understand their laws now, we understand their language now. Long time ago they could fool us and lie to us, but we're done being lied to. This is our land, relatives. We're going to stand strong. And again, I say Wopila to the Horse Nation for being with us here today. We stand together. We are a horse people. We love our horses. They're a part of us. They protect us and we protect them. So I want to thank the warriors who brought their horses today. I want to thank everybody, and we stand here in peace and unity. Be proud that you're standing up for your people at home. You're standing up for your future generations. You're standing up for your land. You're standing up for your water. Because all over, Indian people are watching us. All over, all nations are watching us, no matter what color they are. They're watching us. We have relatives who are fighting this pipeline all over, going to jail every day, fighting for this, non-Indians who are standing up and fighting, and we stand in solidarity with all who protect the land and water. We stand with them today as we stand on this road. We stand in a sacred way, and we gather in peace. We have our bodies, our minds, our voices. Those are our weapons today, our prayers. So we're asking you not to destroy anything, but to stand in peace and show the pipeline that we could defeat them with peace and prayer. We could stand in their way, and they're not working. As long as they ain't working, we're winning, my relatives. So remember that. Where's our drums at? Where's our singers at? We have to ask you to come up front. Where's our drums? We have our singers here. If there are any hand drums, any singers, come on up here.
We do not photograph or record prayer, but later in the video, you'll see a segment of the drummers singing, and for that, Chief Looking Horse told the media to record as he wanted the world to see this action.
Okay, well, finished our first action. We're headed to another one now, another work site. Everything went well this time. Nobody got arrested. We engaged the police in such a way that they just didn't know how to handle it. Everybody shook their hands, said thank you, and blessed their family. What was your name again?
Oh, I'm Earth Mom, and I just said peace to each of the policemen, and a couple even said peace back.
So what did you think about this afternoon?
I thought it was awesome because the work stopped and everyone's there and made a stand for Mother Earth, and the elders spoke, and they spoke from their hearts. And all of us, whether you're here or not, we just all need to love and support Mother Earth and respect her. And that's what this is all about. It's not a fight. It's about love and respect of Mother Earth. And water is life, Mini Wiconi.
Aho, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're going to another site now, and I'm not sure exactly what's going to transpire there, but I'll bring it to you as quick as I got it. Love y'all back home. Keep the prayers and support coming.
This is a direct action. When water protectors go to the DAPL front lines to pray, the gathering is peaceful, prayerful, and orderly. Yet Morton County Police and DAPL goons persist in threatening and terrorizing the water protectors, who remain undaunted in their quest to stand for clean water, native sovereignty, and Mother Earth. This was my first direct action. It was in late September. During this direct action, one of the water protectors went to the police lineup and began to shake the hands of each police officer, and many of us followed, forming a long chain, a long line of water protectors, wishing each officer peace and love. Then the next day's direct action was totally different. That day, in late September, we drove to 2 locations where the pipeline was being built, and we prayed. And as we were about to leave the second location, the police closed in on us. They blocked the road we came in on and blocked the road going out. The next water protectors that you are going to see, Dane and Jimmy Thundertalker, talk about their experiences. Dane and I were in a van driving back to camp after the action, and then Jimmy and I spoke back at the Wiconi camp. They give their accounts of what happened. And just to note, these experiences were mild in comparison to the police actions that were to come in the coming weeks and months when the police began to get more and more aggressive.
Yeah, so I jumped out of the van and I saw an elder being arrested. She was the first one being arrested. A couple people were over there videotaping. Well, a lot of people were over there videotaping. And the cops started yelling that we shouldn't have been in the road, but the elder wasn't on the road. None of us were on the road. We were on the side of the road the whole time. And then at that point, a man on horseback came riding up, and he got kind of close to the police officers, and they pulled a shotgun out, and then myself and a couple other ones jumped in front of the shotgun, and everyone started yelling and screaming, and the police definitely escalated it more than it needed to be. And once it was escalated, they escalated it even more by taking a couple steps forward, and then they did about a 10-yard dash towards us, which at that point almost everybody started running back, and they caught a couple. I'm not sure who they got. They got 2 from our van, but I'm not sure how many total they got, so 3 definite. And then we saw a couple more being arrested as we were taking off, and that's all I saw.
And this started out as a very peaceful situation. It was a peaceful direct action just with prayers, and the police were there, and then they blocked off one side of the road, and then they blocked off the other. They ambushed, and then they escalated, and they really started this whole situation. Everyone was peaceful. No one made any gestures to them or said anything to them.
My name is Jimmy Thundertalker. I'm 19 years old. Today here on Wednesday, September 28th, 2016, at approximately 2:40, we came to the pipeline that was being constructed to peacefully protest, and all we did, we just came to sing, dance, and pray. At first, nobody was there, no one but just a few cop cars and a few policemen. And at first, we just thought we missed the workers to stop, so we just offered a prayer, and then we were getting ready to leave. We all started walking back to our cars, and we're just about to leave. And we didn't do anything wrong. No destruction, no trespassing, nothing. Just as we were about to leave, a whole army of cop cars and the National Guard trucks just came in from the other side of the road. They surrounded us, and they just swarmed in like the Gestapo. They just surrounded us, and we all got out of our cars and held up our arms and our hands. to show them that we were not a threat. We were not holding any weapons at all. And everyone started shouting, live stream, live stream. And everyone got out all their smartphones and their iPhones to record what was happening. My friend Leota Ironcloud got out her iPhone and it told me that since she was unarrestable, she was going to go over there to confront the policeman. And she went off with the rest of the people to confront the policeman. Meanwhile, I stayed behind at a safe distance, watching what was going on. All the cops began to arrest people on the front line. And they all came out with their batons and their guns.
And did you see them pointing guns at people?
Yeah, I saw them pointing guns at people. I don't know, remember what I saw? Things were happening so fast. Yeah. And then the big truck with the sound weapon came over and everyone shouted for us to plug in our ears, so we did. And then all at once, the people who were confronting the policemen who were in front of me turned around and broke out into a run. And so I ran along with them. The police began to chase us and were arresting people left and right. I ran several yards till I made it to a pickup truck. So I jumped into the back of a pickup truck along with 5 other guys. And we all just drove away as fast as we could. It was a full retreat. What was so crazy about this was that we didn't do anything wrong.
Completely peaceful.
We were completely peaceful, no law breaking or anything. And they just came in and surrounded us like the Gestapo. The whole thing was a setup. It was a trap.
We were ambushed.
We were a trap.
Yeah.
But hey, this is for sure gonna get out. This is gonna be on international news.
Yep.
Because when all this started happening, everyone just got out all their iPhones and recorded what was happening. And all of this is gonna be online and it's gonna spread across the internet like a virus.
Yep.
This was...
Truth's gotta come out. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, Jimmy. We were all just shaken from it, and but we're working to get the truth out because we want you to know that the water protectors are peaceful. Mother Earth comes first, and nobody had any type of weapon, and they just went after us. They were looking to ambush. The police were just watching while there were prayers and drumming and dancing going on, and then at the very end when we were going to leave, that we were blocked from the back and from the front, so there was no reason.
Oh, and by the way, one last thing. This is for sure like the most crazy, terrifying, and most intense experience I've ever had in my life. And yet, despite all that, I'm not fazed at all. I'm now more determined than ever to protect this land and the water and the life. So wish me luck.
You have our prayers. You do. Pray for the water protectors.
This is Ukwala. He's from the Havasupai tribe. A contingent of about 12 Havasupais came up from the Grand Canyon to be with us at Standing Rock, and Ukwala is quite an orator. I'm going to let him tell his story, so enjoy listening to him, and you'll see pictures of his tribal relatives that did come with him, including my wonderful little brother, Emmanuel.
My name is Ukwala, and I'm a member of the Havasupai tribe in the Grand Canyon in northern Arizona. I come from a very small tribe that numbers all of about 600 plus people. And you've got to remember that we as carriers, protectors of this, the Mother Earth, are required by our callings and birthright and bloodlines to be able to protect, number one, this, the Mother Earth. I'm allowing for this time of channeling through Source at an encampment that is sacred and historic right now. Many tribes gathering for the purpose of protecting the Mother Earth. In this case, in Standing Rock, and speaking for the peoples here to oppose a black snake that is coming across their land. And here is a very important part of our earth walk and responsibility. Though we may not be in the area and we may not be familiar with the people or familiar with the land, It is important for us to be able to protect the Mother Earth. I want for you to listen closely now, simply because I sit in the main camp where the oratories of many holy people are coming in to the arena. The sound in the back with the amplification is our speaker making the introductions. I am a holy man in the eyes of those that are my relations, and I sit in the arena as a ceremonial embodiment for spirit. Times now are bringing challenges to all walks of life, but the challenges are all earth-based because of the destruction that is being put upon this, the Mother Earth. Allow your sensories to awaken to the needs, though it may be a people or of a location that you're not familiar with. You have an energy power within to send goodness out to areas that are of need. I am in great awakening to bring in voice for divine creator source. Let us open our hearts so that we can begin to understand that devastation of the Mother Earth is not acceptable. So whatever that is happening within all corners of the world, that there are elements that are being brought into question, learn to let the heart take lead and bring in the protection on an as-needed basis. Sacred orators are people that have been birthed into ceremony, ritual, and spirituality. This is not limited just to the indigenous native people of North America, but the beauty of spirituality is birthed into all walks of life, from all corners of the world, from all sacred directions. Listen with your heart, and what is of resonance to you with situations of good or bad, give it the strength of what needs to be to allow for the well-being of your brothers and sisters to survive on this, the Mother Earth. I speak, but I speak with the knowing that it is not I am just the tool, but I speak with the elements of Creator Source channeling through. Today is a very auspicious day symbolically because the wind people are speaking very assertively, gesturing a clearing that has to happen. The elements of hearts that are conflictive with emotions, these are things that we need to be able to bring into some sense of control when we are looking to set forth an energy, a vibration, a prayer, so that all the elements of the Mother Earth and its inhabitants, the children, can be in the way that is good. I thank you for this brief time of oratory, but I also want for you, with all the elements that are surrounding, be of heart listening, to be able to take on what you resonate with and send prayers out for the goodness and the healings of the Mother Earth as well as yourself. In my people, as we finish, we simply say Ma, which is not a goodbye, but just says this is it for now. Let your spirit, let your heart begin to honor the Mother Earth in the way that is good, and learn to be able to be of embodiment of spirit. Blessings.
Oh, it was so wonderful to meet you, Kuala, and to chat with him. And he came up from the bottom of the Grand Canyon. There were about maybe 12 people that came from Havasupai Falls. And he told the story about how they reclaimed some of the land and they got it back, but also how life is very different from the way it was years ago. Because years ago, before they kept taking more and more of their land, his nation was able to go up and down the canyon. They lived down at the bottom, they lived on the top, and now they're basically down in the bottom, and they're about 640 strong. They have all sorts of internet connectivity and everything, but getting in and out, the options are helicopter or foot or on horse. And it's pretty arduous, and it was wonderful that they all came and shared with us and talked about it. And that was the beauty of it, because people were coming from all over. They would bring their foods, different foods, and share. And it's just such an amazing experience to be with First Nations people and then everyone else that's joining in, because even though this is localized, yeah, it's the Missouri River, but it's also, it's all of Mother Earth. There was a healer coming from Ecuador, and he talked about how his tribe, his group of 50 men, women, and children went through the Amazon, and it was an hour or two away, and they were on foot, and they actually stopped some building that was going on. There's also a tremendous oil spill there as well, but they worked together, and everyone now is just saying enough.
Jesse Jackson came to camp, and he was very impressed. I was very impressed by it. He had a press conference, but then he also came to the front lines, and he made a point of shaking the hand of every water protector. It was really nice to see, and he boosted morale, because that was the time that we were expecting the police and militia to come and to try to take down the camp, the 1851 camp, and it was the day before they actually did it. I guess they didn't want to do it while Jesse Jackson and Mark Ruffalo were there. They waited and came the next day. So here's Jesse Jackson.
Holiness of the ground and the sacredness of the burial sites and drinkable water. We know that these pipelines have seepage. They poison the water, they poison the earth, they poison the people. And Native Americans cannot stand alone. They must be embraced and loved. These are the original people who deserve dignity and not disgrace.
And how does it feel to be here?
Well, I've been in Native American reservations before. I'm always joyed by the reception, the love of the people. But the dignity has been stripped of them, eminent domain, taking their land, and abusing them because of their poverty. A few days ago, they opened the African American Museum in Washington. And the significance of it, among others, is that African Americans are not the bottom of America, but the foundation. 1619 we came, 157 years before the Declaration of Independence. But when we were brought here, enslaved Native Americans were already here. Florida, Mississippi, Arkansas, Seattle, the Sioux, the Cherokees were already here. These are the original people, and they have been treated so brutally as a disgrace to the dignity of America's sense of who it is as a nation. And we will never be free until the Native Americans are set free and protected from eminent domain and other kinds of abuse. And my father's part Cherokee, so we're part of the same family. So the Native Americans, the many tribes that make it up, the African Americans are both foundational people, not bottom people, who are from which the great America we now see sprang from the sacrifices and the blood of Native Americans and African Americans.
That's right.
And we must stand together. Many times we were chased from plantations and we were saved on reservations, but a lot of African American, Native American intermarriage because of that relationship.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Would you comment on the police treatment of peaceful protesters here?
People engaged in nonviolent, peaceful protests must be embraced, and their cause must be understood. But those who are here willing to sacrifice to say the Native Americans live, the Sioux lives, that there's evidence of seepage in these pipes across the country. These pipes, when they seep beneath the ground, sometimes it's difficult to find where the seep comes from. So lots and lots of resources are wasted that way. The earth is poisoned. The wildlife is killed. The people are killed. There was a big crisis in Flint, Michigan last year where, and it still exists, where they found lead in the water. And they need 34,000 pipes. Only 19 have been fixed. They need drinkable. They need water pipes, not water bottles. And Flint is just small as compared to what's happened to Native Americans. The irony is they sent Native Americans out on these reservations to perish.
Yes.
Only to find that there was great wealth beneath the soil. And now that's coming back to get the remaining soil. Native Americans have been victims of protracted genocide and broken treaties and dishonored commitments. We must measure our character by how we treat Native Americans. Who we are is measured by how we treat the least of these.
I met and interviewed Tom Goldtooth after the September 2014 climate march in New York City. We talked in the common area of a hotel in Brooklyn. And as you listen to Tom, you'll get more of a sensibility of the mind of the first peoples of the United States. Tom talks about land without souls, how many people here in the United States treat Mother Earth, treat the land as a commodity, not treating her with love and respect that she deserves. Tom then takes the talk to the next step of the importance of sustainable energy and knowing the sacredness of Mother Earth. He ends with, the energy is controlled by capitalists and corporations, and that brings us right to Standing Rock, doesn't it? Enjoy Tom, and also enjoy his little piece on American Indian 101.
I'm from two tribes, and my mom is from the southwest of the United States, from New Mexico, northern New Mexico, and we're known, generally known as the Navajo people, and it's one of the largest tribes in this country. Our lands, our reservation encompasses 4 states around the 4 corners of U.S. Utah, Colorado, Arizona, and New Mexico. And then my other side is with the Sioux, or the Dakota people, the eastern Dakota, and so that's where I live, in the old territories of the Dakota people in Minnesota, okay? And we live there with there's some other tribes that live there, the Ojibwe. Some people call them Chippewas, but please don't call them Chippewas. These are terms that settlers have called this, and they're not the proper terminology. Just like Navajo, we call ourselves Dene, just like Sioux. People should not call us Sioux. We are Dakota. Just like our friends and relatives next door to us in Minnesota, the Ojibwe, they're not Chippewa. The proper term is Anishinaabe. Anishinaabe is like also Winnebagos in Wisconsin. They are not Winnebagos, they are Ho-Chunks. Ho-Chunks, okay? So this country has a rich history of American Indian, culture. A lot of the states in this country are named after different place names of Native people. A lot of people don't know that, but I'm not here to talk about Indian Education 101. We found that there's a pattern that needs to be addressed in this country, and that was the formation of the environmental justice movement that addressed the issues of environmental and economic justice, environmental racism issues. That was in the early 1990s, and it was during that time that we formed as Native American, as Canadian First Nations, as Indigenous, because we are indigenous to these lands. We are the first brothers and first sisters. We are, if everyone is a descendant here of settlers who came here, immigrants, okay? You are all our younger brothers and our younger sisters. We were here first. Yes. And a lot of our teachings we have our own genesis. We have our own creation of how we came to exist. You know, when the settlers first came here and the church first came here, and the governmental entities that came here, that came from Europe, they never really asked us, who are you? You know, they came here with a plan to occupy our territories. See, a lot of people don't know that. You know, there's stereotypes of who they say either we didn't fight back or whatever, we sold Manhattan for $24 and some beads. But if you look at the concept is Mother Earth. You know, we don't think of Mother Earth or the land or the trees in a monetary value system. Right. You know, if some white man wants to give $24, I mean, that man must be dumb, you know? He's willing to give $24 for something that doesn't have a value. How do you put a price to Mother Earth? Okay? And so there's a lot of rich culture, heritage here of indigenous people that lived here in this whole region. Where are they? Where are they? You know? So, you know, our history deals with a lot of those concepts of imperialism, militarization, colonialism, conquest, you know, and there was definitely a master plan of countries like Spain and England and a lot of other countries that came to this beautiful land, eastern United States, and including the islands, you know, the Caribbean islands and Central America and South America. They wanted trees. They wanted trees. They logged down all the trees in Europe.
So Queen Elizabeth and
So when you have big shipping fleets and you need more trees, England has big trees. So they needed the resources of this rich land. But even back in those days, under international law, there was international law back in the 1600s, in the 1500s, 1400s. And so how can they occupy a whole land and do it legally? They needed the church.
Exactly.
And the church is the one that said, these people are not civilized. They are pagans. They have no souls. So that gave them the legal, you know, the authority to come in and occupy a land full of people with no souls. Okay? It's something nowadays. We're fighting a system right now. It's related to climate issues. Is that there's a really serious push by corporations of this world, and a lot of those corporations have investments here. A lot of the Wall Street represents that 1% versus the 99% is control of the land. Whoever controls the land and resources of the world, whoever controls the land and resources and the property of Manhattan and New York and United States controls the future. Okay? So the way that they achieve this is that they title out all the land, becomes property. And what allows them to do this is this instruments like doctrines of discovery, or now economic globalization, or the word, that nasty word called capitalism.
Yeah.
Okay? Capitalism and property rights. For an example, land without souls. So land without a soul. So land is viewed now as just
a commodity.
A commodity, a physical entity. It becomes a commodity that's traded on the market system. But the bigger issue is definitely the control that the corporations have. Okay, fossil fuel industry and dirty energy. We need to start making plans for a just transition away from a fossil fuel economy to a clean, renewable economy. And we have the technology. If we can send people to the moon and back, definitely we should have enough brains to develop technology that is safe for Mother Earth, safe for the future of our people, and not exploitive. to Mother Earth. And we need to have an economic system that also sees that there's a limit to economic growth. We have to have an economic system that understands the living life cycles of Mother Earth. Those are things that we are trying to teach to mankind. You know, we're dealing with humanity that has been removed from nature. And how do we bring people back to nature and to value nature and to understand the concepts when I say we need to reevaluate our relationship to the sacredness of Mother Earth. What does that mean to the general population out there in America and the world? You know, some people don't understand what I'm talking about. But I believe that everyone at one time come from tribes at some point in their own history, no matter what race. And in the old days, you had to live in a harmonious way. You needed to live in a balanced way. You cannot trash Mother Earth if you wanted to survive. Somewheres nowadays in the modern times, I think it's through industrialization. People have been systematically removed from nature. So what happens is that culture of people, that society becomes dependent on technology. It becomes dependent on a market system. You know, so that means that we're made to feel we're powerless. You know, we're slaves to an industrialized system. And now what we need is energy democracy. We need to, the energy system is controlled by corporations. They make money off of our energy needs. So how do we change that? So that's what we're looking at, is the energy reality. We're looking at powering down. We need to power down. Doesn't mean that the American Indian is going to live in teepees anymore. You know, are people going to live in whole European huts and things like that? But if we don't take action, Mother Earth is going to react in such ways that maybe we'll be forced to live and survive like that.
In October, another camp was set up. It was called the Treaty Camp of 1851. And this camp was built right on the pathway of the Dakota Access Pipeline, where Energy Transfer Partners intended to build. As a matter of fact, sadly, that area is probably built on now. But we made a new camp there with the intention that the people from Wiconi and the other camps would move there to be right there on the front line. It didn't work out that way. What happened was that militia and tanks, as you'll see later in this video, came in and took everything down. But that first day we went there were prayers, there were dances as the teepees went up, as the tents went up, to have this new camp. Eventually what happened, they closed Route Highway 1806, where the camp was. And we couldn't even get that far up, but it was a really good try.
These are our weapons, these cameras. Our prayers, our power, our unity is our strength. Hold to each other. If they come in here with the police and the National Guard, we're gonna lock to each other. Lock to each other. They'll try to take us off the edges. They'll try to hit the middle. Hold on to your relative. Hold on to your relative. Don't let anybody be taken. We're all one family, one unit, one prayer. We have nothing to fear because the Creator is with us. The spirits of our ancestors are amongst us. Be strong. Aho. Aho.
We're supposed to be a prayer camp, so everybody should be praying. Our prayers are really strong. And that's what's going to stop this. We're going to win this war with peace. Once again. Capture the American flag again.
It's quiet now as we're waiting to see if the police are coming. The helicopters are flying low overhead. And people are prayerful and peaceful. And that's the way we do have to stay. The sister is right.
Singing prayer songs. always singing prayer songs. We have infiltrators who are starting this war, so we've got to take those people out. They call themselves so-called leaders, but they're only starting a war.
The police have everyone in the 1851 camp surrounded, and then there are the rest of us on the road here. We've been pushed back some. The teepees the teepee poles that were in the middle of the road were taken down. A couple of people have had mace in their eyes and have been helped. Guards to the right of us, to the left of us, and in front of us. And no doubt they probably have some backups coming from behind. But they're trying to get us all into the south camp and to leave this site, which is the site where DAPL's coming to build. This is the site here you see with the teepees in the background. Oh, man. The police seem to be a lot more laid back today than I've seen them on other days. But maybe that's because this is such a big job, and maybe they are getting some bad press for the mistreatment of the water protectors, because we have been peaceful. People haven't been read their rights. People have been shipped to jails far away without being told, or being told they're going 60 miles and then being shipped 180 miles with no regard for them at all. But apparently this whole showdown that's happening right now, they've been preparing for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Today's Thursday. And now it's about 4 Central. It probably started 12:30, 1 o'clock Central Time today. So it's been going on for several hours. And thus far, they haven't used heavy force, but they've used force. And, you know, masons, spraying, bombing, sound. That's just fine by them. It's not beyond them. And then there are these guys here that are lining the side of DAPL, protecting their precious friggin' pipes. I'm surprised they haven't moved in, but they haven't. And fortunately they haven't, because we are all peaceful. They tried to make us out to have bow and arrows and anything and everything else. And we don't. We're just peaceful people that have come here from Mother Earth. And to put a stop to this insanity, and also destroying the water for 18 million people. That's a start.
You need to get out of the truck, get away from the truck. We're not allowing that to block the street. It's gotta go. Keep moving south. Keep moving to the south, on the road. You can't stay on the road. You get in the truck, you're gonna get arrested.
The police and army are pushing basically all of us back, and if we resist them, there's definitely arrest and tear gas.
When the militia came and they took down the camp at 1851, there was a prayer circle of about 45 people, and there were many elders there that came as water protectors. Water protectors are in all ages, from children to adult to elders. And one of them, Joanna Holy Elkface, was arrested, and she was treated badly, but fortunately she got out because of her medical condition, and she's just relating what happened to her.
My charges were trespassing, disorderly ordinance conduct to a riot.
Right, you created a riot. That's what they've been trying to say about us, all of the water protectors. That's been one of the charges, creating a riot. Meanwhile, everyone's been going there peacefully. There has been some internal dissension of some of the younger people wanting to fight more, but like you, Joanna, the
prayerful, peaceful resistance is the way and that many of us want to go. And it's, for me, being a guest here, it's following the elders and following what's being said.
There was a church group sitting off to the east side of the highway. They were all sitting in a circle praying, and all the officers stood behind them and then went ahead and arrested that whole prayer group. And then there was elderly women that were doing a Niwipi ceremony, and they also a sweat lodge too, and they also had them all arrested.
Right, they did arrest people during sacred ceremony. Other people were with their chanupa, their pipe. There was a group of 49 people that were right in the new campground. All of them were arrested. And there's also a story, she can't speak right now for legal reasons, but one woman was run over by one of the small ATV trucks.
Yes.
And be stopping them going into the camp, and basically she stood in front of them and to stop them, and she said the driver of the ATV looked her in the eye and then put the gas on. So I don't know where humanity is here with the DAPL people. It beats me. It beats me why people don't understand that.
And they had to put a horse down because they shot at it. And a 19-year-old boy was riding his horse, and ATF went right behind his horse and hit the horse, which
ATV
threw him off the horse and fractured his left shoulder.
Yeah, so please send your prayers out for everyone here, for Mother Earth, and pray for the DAPL people and all of our government, which seems to be doing very little, and many of the tribal leaders and the spiritual tribal people that are leading and are prayerful for us all the time, and just everyone pray, please.
Yes, and for Jesse Jackson, I seen him Tuesday and had a picture with him for the media also. So I just want him to know that I was one of them that went to jail.
Yeah, okay. All right, peace and blessings, everybody. After the camp was demolished, the police came, took everything down, arrested everyone. They arrested the people in the prayer circle last. Everyone was very demoralized after that day. And then a day or two later, Chief Looking Horse came. Chief Orville Looking Horse is the spiritual leader of the Lakota, Nakota, and Dakota nations. He's also the keeper of the sacred white calf bundle. He came and he talked to everyone. He led everyone to the front lines, and now it was, unfortunately, the new front lines because Morton County Police blocked access on Highway 1806 to get any closer to where DAPL was working. So he came and he did speak to the police, and they set up a meeting for later on that week. But there was prayers and there was chanting, and he spoke to all of us. And basically the whole thing about being a water protector, the whole thing about this is doing it through prayer. It's not doing it through violence, through fighting. It's through prayer, and Chief Looking Horse was leading that. And you'll see on the way back that there's drumming and chanting prayers that happen, and normally that wouldn't be filmed or put out to the public. But Chief Looking Horse wanted the world to see this. He wanted the world to see this prayer. So here's Chief Looking Horse and the Water Protectors.
I want to say now that today is a beautiful day. Wakankuka gave us a beautiful day and a beautiful life right now. To stand here together once again. Our spirit is the Katunka, the buffalo. When we went to the front lines, we saw the buffalo. And that spirit is here with us right now. The buffalo, the Katunka, still yonder. But we want to be in prayer today, once again. And I am the keeper of the chanupa. I never carry guns. I didn't use foul language. And this is my position. So right now, I'd like to walk with the elders and whoever can walk with us. Right now, I'll go to the front lines again. And we're going to say a prayer there. Maybe sing some songs and then come back. Because we know that we have to keep that spirit going here at this camp. That today, because there's a lot of people praying with us, now we need to put this time aside right now to stay in prayer today. And no foul language, because this is what we call the spirit. To ask the spirit of this water, the Wiconi, to help us today as we come here. But we went over there. Now we say we're because Wiconi, they're not coming back down, and we're not coming back down either. But but we know that the spirit is here with us. We know that the buffalo Katankoyaki is here with us. And we have a lot of people, not only around here, but all over the world praying with us right now. Because water is life.
Along with all the indigenous people, the native people, people that love Mother Earth came from all over. A lot of environmentalists, like this next guy, Dave Hollister. He's with Sundance Power Systems, and he's a former employee of Greenpeace, and he brought solar and wind panels to Standing Rock, which was great. So here's Dave.
You know, I've been working in energy issues for the last 30 years. Started working at Greenpeace back in the mid-'80s, and energy to me seemed like the most important issue of our time. You know, partially because of the environmental impacts that it's creating on the planet, but also because the oligarchy, you know, the forces that we're fighting are essentially being powered by controlling energy and natural resources, and by decentralizing the energy systems of our planet and giving people the power, putting the power to the people in their hands, will fundamentally remove that income stream from the oligarchy and create greater sense of democracy around the world. It was very clear that this is where I needed to be spiritually. This is the front lines of this battle between, you know, learning how to cooperate with Mother Earth and to use our intelligence to learn how to cooperate, or, you know, picking a fight with creation and trying to figure out how we can control creation. And those are just two very different mindsets, and they're doing battle right here in Standing Rock. And you know, we wanted to bring, you know, because of our business, and because of the nonprofit Alliance for Energy Democracy, we were able to raise some money, and some of our customers and supporters helped us, you know, raise the funds to create a very awesome solar generator that, you know, right now we're trying to figure out where that's going to go. It also has a wind component. Obviously the wind is big time here, and the sun's not so great in the winter, but you know, to me, this is what it's all about. You know, we need to put the power into people's hands, and solar and wind and these renewable sources is just, you know, it is in a way, it's a direct action in itself. And over the years of doing this work, the people who take that action, you know, it's a voluntary action. When you have power coming out of your socket in your house, and it's just so cheap and free, to actually make a conscious decision to, you know, produce your own energy and take yourself off of that system is an incredibly empowering act. And so we wanted to be able to, you know, come here and bring a powerful source of energy into this community and have it do the good work that needs to be done here.
This next person is Winona Casto. She's truly one of the most amazing people I've met at camp. she's a local hero. She cooks traditional Lakota food. She ran the main kitchen sort of from the beginning of camp, the Wiconi camp, and then she switched off and did her own soup kettle kitchen, and then she went back to the big kitchen again, but she's just a master. And the thing about Winona that inspires me so is that the woman's cooking for hundreds of people. She doesn't get flustered at all. She just told me that she says a prayer and then gets on with it, and everything always works out. So enjoy Winona. You'll see some of the foods that she makes, which are wonderful, and they taste really good too.
Hi, Thursday, September 29th, talking with Winona Costo in the kitchen at the Oceti Shakoni camp. Winona, you're the head cook here, yeah?
Yes, I've been here since it started, and we cook 3 meals a day here.
And how long is that? When's day one here?
Day one, I can't remember.
Okay, but it's a couple of months or 3 months or more, yeah.
Yeah.
What's the largest number of people you served in a day?
3,000.
Holy mackerel!
The line was like 3 hours long, and we had to divide it into 2 lines, but it was still 3 hours long.
Oh my God. And you were telling me you honor a different nation each day or night?
Yeah, there's different nations that come in every day, and so we honor them every day.
How do you do that?
They introduce themselves, and they present their tribal flag, or if it's a country, they present their flag and talk about why they're here and their support for Standing Rock and standing with Standing Rock, and we welcome them with open arms, and we have a good meal and a supper time with everybody. Yeah.
You know, the food's been really great. I've really enjoyed it. And you could tell, though, the good heart everybody has, the good feelings, which makes the food even better.
Well, in order to cook for a lot of people, you have to have that want to be able to cook for that many people, to be able to put out, and it's a lot of work. It's not easy. And it's, I baked bread for I don't know how many hours yesterday, and we did 26 pans of bread. There was probably about maybe 30 buns to a pan, and it all went one meal. So there's so many people that are here, and they come from everywhere, and they bring food, donations, and the other tribes bring their own traditional foods, and I've been learning to cook different traditional foods besides my own, just to accommodate all our visitors, and they leave behind a lot of the traditional foods for others that may come, so it's really good that we all bond and connect here.
Yeah, that's great. I'm just learning there's a lot of different types of fry bread.
Yep, there is.
There's fat fry bread, flat fry bread.
Fluffy fry bread. And the best fry bread, mine.
Whoa! I want a recipe then. Way cool. And thank you. How many hours a day do you put in here?
Well, I get here at 6, and I'm out of here by about 10 o'clock at night.
Holy mackerel.
And it's an everyday thing, you you have a lot of happy people in the kitchen, and a lot of teamwork, and we put out every effort to help each other, so it works smoothly.
Thank you so much. I mean, I keep being here. I'm seeing the generosity and kindness and the big heart of your people.
Well, we're here to, feed our nations and take care of them while they're here supporting Standing Rock, and we're going to just be here till the end and do our best.
Earth Mom, Wiconi Shakoni Camp for WBAI, Halloween. We're talking with Winona, who's one of the heroes of this camp. She feeds everybody, and she feeds everybody traditional food. And I asked Winona if she would talk about some of the traditional food she makes, like fried bread and buffalo stew and wojapi, my favorite. Tell us about the traditional food and why you feel it's so important to make that food for everyone here.
Well, those are our original foods that our people made, and that's a tradition passed on from generation to generation. And this is a time of prayer and ceremony So I feel that need to make those food for the people here, so they can eat good and be prepared for anything, and they won't be hungry, and they can enjoy the traditional foods that I make for them. I really think that our people should learn to eat this way and stay healthy. And a lot of the people that come here to support are from cities, and they don't get that traditional food often. So me making it for the camp, I think it's really a good thing.
Yeah. I know all the native people that come really love it and really appreciate it, and the rest of us learn about it and really love it. I mean, wojipi is like a berry stew, right?
Yeah, it's boiled berries, and we thicken it like a gravy, and it's sweeten it, and it's a pudding. And that's just the way that we make it to make people. We also put the berries into pemmican dried meat with buffalo fat. Yeah, so we do that too. That's another ceremonial food, but that's a very important part of our diet.
And I see you have all the dried corn here. How does that work?
Well, as the fall comes, I'm drying corn, squash, and buffalo meat. And we dry it because it preserves in the wintertime.
Yeah.
And we're able to make soup out of it.
It's good. It's good. When you dry, like I know the corn's all being dried outside, do you sometimes use a dehydrator or just basically?
No, I dry it naturally.
Nice.
I've always dried my foods naturally, and I store them in airtight containers once they're dry.
Cool. What's your favorite?
Bapa soup. It's dried buffalo meat with the dried turnips hanging here.
Oh, were those turnips?
Yeah, and dried turnips and the corn and the squash. So that's my favorite, with onions.
Oh, that sounds yummy.
Hi. You know what?
Okay.
I'm just now making soup.
Winona's
I
busy.
just served lunch. I served wild rice and buffalo meat with mushrooms over fry bread.
I know, we heard that.
But I do have some fry bread here.
My cute little brother and I, Emmanuel, were at breakfast one morning, and I can't help it, my ears just go places, especially when I hear really wise speaking going on, and my attention went over to this lovely lady who is from Standing Rock and talked about growing up there and talked about the sacredness of the land at Standing Rock and how so much of the area is sacred burial ground. And then I knew just there, my God, I've got to really interview Jermaine Trammell, and we left at breakfast saying we'd catch up, and I was like, well, where is she? Good thing is, though, I found her at Winona's kitchen. We were able to catch up, and I was able to interview her. I apologize for all the wind. There's lots of it, but she's really worth listening to, so stick with it. And here's Jermaine.
Thank you, relatives. I shake hands with you with a good heart today and greet you all. My English name is Jermaine Trammell. My Indian name is Taoya Tewankapiwi, which is Lady Seen by Her Nation. I'm Hunkpapa, and I'm from the band of Sitting Bull Band. I'm a fifth descendant of Sitting Bull, and I grew up in this part of the teachings I received were from this area. Our land here is that it's sacred to us, because just a couple places around us is traditional burial grounds, and those are places that we've never talked about. And now they're digging them up, and we have a story of the giants. Many of our families know these giants, and there's some of our descendancy. They're 7-8 foot giants, and these are very sacred to us. They're very sacred people, beings to us, people to us. They're our relatives, and that's where some of our families descend from. And so we have the height. And so I was just telling that what we believe in is that movement is sacred. When you move someplace, it creates an energy. When we swipe your hand, you created an energy. You created something changed right then and there. And a lot of people don't realize that because they get caught up in the world. They get caught up in their everyday life. That's not a bad thing, but you're missing something very beautiful, very powerful, in understanding that our way of life is very simple. It's nothing complicated. And now you're seeing it and sharing it, being in this camp. This camp is peaceful. When you come into this camp, you feel it right away. There's something there, and you want it. You want that simplicity, but also that camaraderie, that collectiveness. You created a collective. And when you create that collective, that spirit comes together. And so we always tell people, when you leave, make sure you gather your spirit. And many of them want to come back, and that's good. We love that, that's good. But for these things to desecrate our sacred sites is very, very heartbreaking for us, because those are our ancestors. Those are our relatives, and it was gifted to us to take care of them and protect them. We've never, ever told where they were buried. We've kept that many families secret, and we never told it. Finally, we were told that we had to tell. So when we were told, the judge went and gave the information to the other side to Dapple, and they dug them up, destroyed them, and desecrated them. And that's one of the most hard things, because that affects us as a people. And so we got to fix that spirit. We've got to go back and claim that spirit now of those ones that they've destroyed. And we've been doing that. But that's a continual thing. That's going to be a continual process. And that's why I always encourage our people, learn to live simple. Don't complicate your life. Don't complicate your mind. Don't complicate your heart. Because these things are sacred to us. You've given a mind. There's a reason why you're here. You're called here. Many people are here for a reason. A lot of it's about healing. A lot of it's about finding their sense of purpose. And a lot of it is just being here with other people that have a lot of love and a lot of compassion and a lot of understanding. We're all from different walks of life. We're all from different backgrounds. But when you're here, you're a relative, and you're treated as such. You're given food, you're given shelter, you're given talks to help you get over whatever it is that's bothering you. We have relatives here that know these ways, and so they share it. And so this is something that's very, very unique about this area. This area is very beautiful, but it's also very powerful. And this is something that, I always pray for, is that our people come together. And they have. They have come together. They've brought their relatives, their friends, their whatever you want to call them, camaraderie and all of that. They've created that collective now. And now that's powerful, because in our beliefs and in our way of life, we say that, there's going to be something coming. And that something's coming because you want something, you're seeking something. But when you get it, are you ready for it? So that's the other thing, prepare. Because this place is nothing like any other place. It's different because the people are the ones that are here. The movement, the walking, the changing that you're doing, of the energy, that's what it's all about. Because it's all about love. And there's a lot of hate going on in the world today. And sometimes it's hard to have that love in your heart. It's hard to have that love in your mind. It's hard to have that love in your heart all the way through. And many of us are here on a journey to heal too. And so this is what this place is about. And it's beautiful, Our life is beautiful, but it's about everyone. It's about how we make it for everybody to help each other. Learn to care about each other. That's really the biggest lesson here. I think everybody is learning. It's hard because we've been conditioned. It's hard to overcome. But we're here, and it's gonna work. We're gonna do it. We're gonna succeed. Maybe not in this level, but it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
This next man is an elder, and it's Guy Dolknife. Now, every morning at dawn, Guy would be at the sacred fire at camp, calling out to everyone to wake up. And he'd be praying on the loudspeaker, and we could all hear it and get down there and join him. He's just another inspiration, one of the many inspirational people that have made up Oceti Wiconi Camp and the whole movement. Here's Guy Dolknife.
Hello, my name is Guy Dolknife. I've been here ever since July, first part of July, when I heard about it, this pipeline. I came over here and I've been over here ever since. I'm an elder, kind of a spiritual leader for the camp. I belong to the American Indian movement, and I came out here because, well, they're building this pipeline. It's gonna go underneath the Missouri River, and we all drink this water. The reservations. I live in Pine Ridge Indian Reservation, and this Missouri is piped to all our homes back home. And I know anything that's man-made doesn't last. And from what I heard, this pipe won't even last 2 years, they said. So I got a lot of grandchildren, great-grandchildren. So that's why I came out here, and we've been fighting, well, this oil company that's building this pipeline. It's they're working day and night, and this is a peaceful camp. It's a spiritual camp. We don't have no weapons or anything, but yet the law enforcement here, they're taking, so far there's close to 300 of us that got arrested, and I don't know, it's just been going on and on. They never stopped. They're still building it right now, and they're only about a mile from the Missouri River. So it just, I don't know, it's a matter of time. They connect the other side. We're gonna be drinking oil, I guess. It's these big corporations that are behind us, and I guess money talks. So thank you. Thank you very much. Mitakyo Yasi.
So we met Heather when she was setting up camp by the river with 2 of her colleagues, and they were really sweet. And like everybody, you go to somebody's campsite, all the Native people are just so awesome. Offer you a cup of coffee and have a chat. So we started chatting, and I wanted to know why Heather came, and turns out she's an equine therapist. So we talked about that. So listen to Heather tell about herself.
Yeah, so Heather Wynn is my name, and we came from Madison, Wisconsin, and we have been here one time before, and my family, I guess also myself, are Dene, and my reason for coming here is because this is our ancestors, this is our water, and this is what we drink, and too much across the nation, everywhere, they are raping and killing Mother Earth, and that doesn't feel good. So coming to North Dakota, there's so many horses, and it feels good. I connect a lot with horses. Equine therapy is people come, and it's easier than sit-down therapy because the horses do so much of the work, and the unique experiences with the clients and the horses. Basically, there's always a team of 2 when we work, and we kind of stand on the sidelines, and the client goes and interacts with the horses. Maybe they're trying to build self-esteem, or maybe they're trying to learn how to communicate. And the horses, depending on who they're working with, will help them with that. And so then we send them out to maybe do an exercise with the horses, and then they come back in And maybe the person says, well, I don't think the horse likes me because they did this or that. And then all of a sudden there's the horse coming, walking behind the person and will like put the nose on their shoulder or like lick them. And I'm like, do you think somebody who doesn't like you would do that? Right? And then they have this insight like, oh, that's right. Like the thought process is not accurate. And so the magic kind of happens within that. So coming out here and seeing all the horses and just different ways that people are interacting, that they are also part of our nation.
Yeah.
And they're here doing the fight. It's easier for them to let go of any traumas that happen, which is why it's so amazing that they get to, be out here and they show us how to let go, when they don't hold on to it the way we do. They just, they shake or they run and they buck and yeah. Anyway.
Thank you so much. Appreciate
It's
it.
so good to be out here.
This is Clint Caillou. I think we got him after a night of fire keeping. He was probably up all night with the sacred fire. But this gentleman inspired so many people. And I know I keep using the word inspiration, but what can I say? He, for a long while, he was the announcer at the sacred fire. So when another tribal nation would come to camp, he would introduce them. He would just sort of be a master of ceremonies and keeping everything going. But the thing that struck me most about Clint Caillou was that when he would instruct someone, if they were doing something that could be perceived as disrespectful, he would explain Lakota ways, but he would do it in a very straightforward, honest, and respectful way, keeping his dignity and the person's dignity. He's a pleasure to watch and just such a good person. I loved his directness and his honesty, and I just really appreciated him as a firekeeper and also as an announcer, because he was just delightful and funny. So here's Clint Caillou.
Well, my name is Clint Caillou, and I'm a member of the Omaha tribe of Mason, Nebraska. And when I first got here, this was just a field.
Oh, wow.
There wasn't even any teepees here. There wasn't a fire here. Everything was up over the hill or over the river at Sacred Stone. And it was a small group. I think there might have been only 50 people at the most, maybe. We could all stand on that bridge up there by the drilling site and hold hands and pray. At one time, this was like magical.
Yeah.
All the people showing up. I mean, we went from 20 people to, I think at the end they said 8,000 people here at one time. But I mean, there was more. There were more people here than that. It's just that some people could only stay a couple of weeks. Some people could only stay a weekend. They'd come and they'd leave, and other people would come. But yeah, it was something to see. Really, really something to see. I mean, what can I say? It was magic.
Yeah, it was like a once in a lifetime thing. But hopefully that unity stays now. Hopefully that unity stays now.
Yeah.
What do you see now for all the water protectors as next steps, or continuing this? Because it's never ending, is it?
I think if people can stay together, no matter where they are, a lot can be done. I mean, it's that process. It's the voting in the people that need to be in there, voting out the people that don't need to be in there. Instead of a lesser of two evils, we need to start voting for the honest one.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We need to vote for the people that are people, not sponsored by corporation, not sponsored by big money, and not bought and paid for.
Yeah.
That's what we need. We need people, not money people.
I'm trying to think that who affected me most, I don't know. But one of the most important, poignant people of the water protectors, well, there really isn't any of the most important, but some of the most dashing were the water protectors on horseback. They were so brave and kind and good. They would go out in the front lines and they would protect the water protectors from dogs, from the police, and they were so selfless. They are so selfless. So I wanted to talk to two of the water protectors that were on horseback. And fortunately, I got to talk to Julian Bashar and Chief Matthew. Turns out we didn't really talk about the horses, but their stories are so poignant, so factual, so historical that as we were talking and interviewing, there was laughter and tears. Again, we have the North Dakota winds, and this is really community radio, and it's a low budget production just on the iPhone, but trust me, it's worth giving a real true listen to what they're saying. The thing that struck me most about both of these guys is how they spoke so from their heart. So give a listen.
We are actually in a shortage of fresh drinking water because all around the world, not just here, our drinking waters are being contaminated to the point where we can no longer use them for drinking water. Not even for our animals, our livestock and everything, and nature. You know, big corporations are killing our waters. And, you know, that is the main reason I'm here, is we need to protect our waters. But we are looking out for, there's over 10 million people from where this pipeline they want to cross this river that we're protecting also. Because when this pipeline breaks, if it goes through, it's not only going to pollute the water for the drinking source water for the Standing Rock tribe, while just a little ways downriver from the Standing Rock tribe, there is water inlets where they pick up water for the Cheyenne River Sioux tribe. Okay, that's another tribe that it'll affect. And in that same area, they take out water which provides half of eastern South Dakota. The world is running out of clean drinking water, and we need to protect it.
Thank you. Matt.
My name is Chief Matthew Black Eagle Man. Tribal membership is with Long Plain First Nation, Manitoba, Canada. The Canadian government sold a lot of Native children all over the world, and I ended up in the United States. I grew up in Indiana. So when I was, I was maybe 18, 19 years old, it was the first time I ever went to a ceremony, an EP ceremony. People call it the Sweat Lodge. And I woke up right there, you know, I'd been awake, but that was the first time I realized, you know, what I'd been missing in my life. Something had been gone, and I needed to nurture something, and that was it. Saw how I could find a way to nurture my spirit in ways that I couldn't do it in society today. So doing things like this, you know, we say we're all a part of one nation here now, but you see these flags when you come in here, all these different flags are like, how many nations? 300 something nations.
I think it's like 312. Yeah.
There are up to 312 nations of flags that are standing here, each one representing their own people. But today here in this camp, we're one nation still. And so when I talked about how, you know, we're not looking at, you know, we ride with the Dakota 38 ride. We're riders with that. Julian through the years has rode with lots of other rides. But we're all relatives that way. You know, we get connected, and we learn to grow strength from each other in those kinds of times. We make a lot of prayers together riding on horses. We know that when we ride on horses, even scientists are starting to show that they can test the spiritual power that comes out of that horse. And that horse knows us. And so when we go into a ride, and even out here, those riders, when they get on that horse, you know, and everybody thinks they want to go get wild or crazy, you know, all they're doing is praying and protecting. And you know, they may be from Crow Creek, or they may be from Siston or Santee or any other tribe, but here we're that one nation standing together, like we said earlier, only to protect life, only to protect life. We could go down many roads, you know, Black Lives Matter, what they do, say how Black Lives Matter. We're 150 years, 200 years behind the social curve of respect, you know, but that doesn't even matter. You know, that part, it doesn't even matter, because right now, the unification all comes because, hey, we all have to drink water. When we're here on this earth, we're taught to be stewards. Our elders teach us that stewardship of all things is each person's responsibility. Whatever we do, we have to do the best we can to help make things better. We're taught to think 7 generations down the line. You know, we know that we'll never see that end result 7 generations from now, but we can see it because we're that 7th generation from 7 generations ago that thought about us when they made their decisions. And when it all comes down to it, native or non-native, our 7th generation grandchildren are going to be saying, what did you do for us? Yeah. How did you help us? How did you let this happen? And I don't want to ever be the one that said, I didn't do anything at all. I just let it go. Oh, well, you know, the fight was too big for me. And that's not okay to think that way. We're one nation. We're big because we think that way here. We come together from different tribes, but we say, you're my koda, my brother. My kola, my brother. And it's even more than that for us as Indian people, because when I call this man my koda, it says that I'll lay my life down to protect this guy and these relatives that are out here. What does it mean to be my koda? And so we look at each other relatives that way. We're not just friends. We're not just brothers and sisters. We're people that live for each other, whatever that takes. There's a lot of people that say they're warriors all over the world. You know, all these punk kids and call themselves warriors and gangs and these things like that. You know, if you want to be somebody that your relatives are going to say, how did you get to that point? How did we get to this point here? You got to think about what we're doing today. Stewardship, even not just standing the line here, but how can we reduce and reuse the resources that we're tapping into? The system's a big system, but we have to be mindful. We're taught always to be introspective in every situation that we're a part of. What can I have done to have made that thing better? Or what did I do that made that go that way and maybe go south or end up in a bad situation? So our elders teach us these things. And maybe we learned them when we were just little kids through stories that we didn't know we were even learning those kinds of teachings. Because I don't remember being taught these things. I only know that this is how I feel in my heart. I only know that when I'm riding with my relatives, this is how we feel about our relatives, that we pray that they be okay. And so even more than praying about things being okay, our relatives taught us, our ancestors and grandparents, they taught us how to take responsibility for your prayers. Oh, I'm praying for clean water, I'm praying for clean water, I'm praying for clean water. Well, what are you doing about that prayer? Come here. If you're standing out there and you say, I'm just doing everything I can, you can do more. You stand up for your prayer. You defend your prayer with your congressmen, with your senators, with the people that represent you, no matter where you are, in the United States, Canada, or the world. You represent your prayer. So these people that come to the Standing Rock Camp, when they make a prayer for clean water, they mean what they say, because here they are. They came here to represent clean water. And so that's how our elders, our ancestors teach us to be, our grandparents. Represent what you pray for. Stand up and do what you think you're supposed to do to protect what you prayed for. I had an elder told me one time, he said, you want to pray for world hunger, and then you go downtown and some homeless guy comes and begs you for a meal, and you're like, oh, you're homeless, leave me alone. You failed, miserable test right there if you didn't buy that man a meal. That's a miserable failure. We're not taught to be that way. In this camp, if you show up in somebody's camp, they'll offer you something to drink. They'll offer you some food if they have it. They'll give you their last morsel of food if that's all they got, just because that's the way we're taught to be, to respect each other and take care of each other. And mitako ye oyase, that people use that word to say, sometimes assume that just in the ceremony, the people that are praying were all related and connected in that prayer, and that's true. But we also always have to think about some of these oil spills that went on back a few years back up in Alaska. And they made this chemical. They put it over top of it and it just sunk it. They just sunk that oil to the bottom. And then tribal people go back up there to that very same spot. And then there's no more fish. There's no more birds. There's no more large animals or game, because there's still oil there. It looks beautiful. It looks like, wow, this is God's place on earth. Until you reach into that water just below that mud and you pick up that mucky black oil. All they did was sunk it. But the chemicals, they still come out. You don't see those chemicals. They're not the black. They're not the oil. They're the chemicals that cause cancer. They're the chemicals that kill people and kill animals and kill our relatives, like this. That kills the animals. That kill us. So it starts a vicious cycle. How long is it going to be now before our Mother Earth can repair herself in that area where we have a sustainable environment, where fish can live, where birds can come and know that there'll be food there? Now it's a dead zone. These pipes that they're putting, they're substandard pipes. The bore on the inside, I heard a story that the bore on the inside doesn't qualify, and they couldn't fix these pipes. They're substandard pipes that they're putting into a substandard system that, like Julian said, not if it breaks, when it breaks, because it's set up to fail. And what kills me even more about this pipeline, it really angers me the most, is the fact that they have acceptable levels of spillage. If you're a buyer and you buy 100,000 gallons of oil out the backside of that pipeline that's coming from way over here, by the time it gets to the end where you're buying it, you only get 85%. 15% of your oil is getting lost in acceptable levels of leakage. 15% of 100,000 gallons of oil. Now there's one of two things is wrong with this scenario. Either they're shafting all the people and they're loving it and paying for it, or they're completely admitting 15% of what they put into those oils leaks into the ground. And you think about a 100,000 gallon purchase. 15% of that's 15,000 gallons of oil. Acceptable leakage. That's bullshit. I don't care where you're from in the world. That's bullshit. And these companies, all they want to do is make the dollar. All they want to do is make dollars. So if you're willing to pay 85% for 100% of a product, you go for it. You're a freaking idiot if you want to support these oil companies and what they're doing to you. Just in your dollar. If your dollar's that important, think about that for a minute. But then think about having to buy water when they control the water that you're going to drink in your lifetime. Where is it going to come clean water? Who's going to figure out how to get that oil out of that water and make it safe for everybody in the world to drink? It'll become the hottest commodity in the world when it's the most abundant resource that our Creator gave us. So we have to stand up. We have to stand up and do something. I had a relative once told me the only thing that it takes for bad things to happen, all it takes for bad things to happen is for good people to do nothing. And if there's good people out there doing nothing, you're a bad person. I'm not telling you how to be. I'm not calling you out in any certain way. But all it takes for bad things to happen is for good people to do nothing. And they ran right over top of our people. It broke my heart. We can stop this. But we need everybody's help. Talk about the population just of Indian people is so minuscule in this country, it's not even newsworthy. It's so not even newsworthy that they can black it out, and the world doesn't even know it. It's just Indian people.
That's one thing that's bad about the news system. And it's not only the news, but it's our own government. You know, our people are invisible people in our own nations. You know, these lands that we're working to protect right here are covered under two different treaties, 1851 and the 1868 Fort Laramie Treaty. And, you know, they're going right through treaty lands. They didn't consult with the Standing Rock, which they're trying to protect their 1868 treaty. And, you know, by me saying that our people are invisible people, it's not in just this, what's happening here with this pipeline fight. It's been going on for years. And the reason why the media blackout is because they do not want to let the story out of the wrongs that are still happening to our people. And this is from the government. You know, they don't want the media knowing that they are still committing genocide upon the native people. And, you know, a lot of people don't realize, you know, what they're doing to us, you know, and it's very sad. And, you know, we've been trying to get our word out on many issues. And a lot of people, like what I was going to say, is a lot of the people of the United States don't realize these treaties that are made with us, they are protected by the U.S. Constitution. And in the Constitution, it states that the treaties with the Indians are supreme law of the land. That means they overrule any other laws that are made. So, you know, we have the right to stand up and say, hey, protect our treaty rights. Obey by your own laws that you made and stated in your Constitution. You know, we have the right to defend our treaties. And every treaty that has been made with the Native American people has been broken. And it's all been over our natural resources. Well, you know, they're not our natural resources, they are the natural resources of Mother Earth. And they just happen to be within the territories of where we live, you know, the lands where, you know, we are raised and taught to respect and protect. And, you know, the initial treaties made, the 1851 treaty made, was to protect this area for our people. Well, there was war and all that broke out, the Civil War. And there were people coming through that basically led to the breaking of the 1851 Fort Laramie Treaty, and then which led to the war with Custer, which Custer was defeated. And this is something the United States government doesn't want out either. The native people of the Great Sioux Nation and other nations that fought against Custer, we are the only people to defeat the United States Army in any battle. And, you know, after that, you know, our people, the United States flag belongs to us. That the United States flag is our flag now, because there has never been another war where they came in and taken that flag back. So when people are pledging allegiance to the United States flag, they're pledging allegiance to the Great Sioux Nation's flag. That is fact, because we have never been defeated again, which we lost that flag. And, you know, it's, you know, they don't want our story told because, you know, like I said, they are still committing genocide on our people. You know, there are some senators right now that are trying to get bills passed that are going to put a wedge between our people again. You know, what I mean by that wedge is when they made these treaties with all the different tribes, they knew what they were doing, and after these treaties were made, they used this divide and conquer routine on us. And that worked very well because, you know, they'd give one band something else, another band something else. They'd give better stuff to this band than this band, which caused conflict, which caused that division, the divide and conquer. Okay, the one some senators are working on now is they are going to put a major rift between our people by putting our traditional people against our people that have taken the Christianity way. And how that's going to work is they're going to use the treaties against us. Okay, they're going to say the treaties were made with the traditional people. Okay, that's who all these benefits are going to go to. They're going to go to only the traditional people. Your people that have taken the Christianity view, guess what? You are no longer entitled to these benefits. If you don't believe me, do the research. Go to us.gov. Check out the senators. Type in Native American, type in Indian, type in, you know, everything that concerns our people. Start researching them bills and you'll find it. They are still working on getting the genocide of our people. And, you know, it's sad, but it's true.
It's sad because I think you're our only way out to follow the native ways, to follow your wisdom. I mean, you're earth keepers, and you know we came in and messed things up royally, and now we're in the situation that we're in. So,
you know, and you know, a lot of people think, oh, Native Americans have always been a savage people. That has never been our way. And when the first white man came here, entered these lands, we were a welcoming people. We welcomed them. You know, they thought, oh, you know, they were always running around killing everybody. When we had wars, we didn't go around killing each other. It was like, okay, basically, if there was a major confrontation and a fight broke out, it's like, okay, I just finished beating this guy up. Okay, you go home, you know, that's it. You know, he left beat up, I went home the victor, you know. There, you know.
He got songs made about him and I had to go just dry my tears.
He may go home with a bloody nose or crying in his grave, and that's it. You know, we didn't kill each other like that. You know, it's, you know, even when the whites fought us, it's like, you know, the killing didn't start until so many of the whites, you know, just they'd see an Indian out there and it's like, okay, boom, one dead Indian, you know, no problem. They go on, do it to another, and then after the wars, the biggest atrocities was what a lot of people do not realize. Okay, they are aware of the Lakota Wars. Okay, they're not aware of what happened pre-Lakota Wars. This started in 1862 with the Dakota conflict. Okay, I am a descendant of the warriors of that conflict, direct descendant. My family was almost wiped out. I mean, if my great-great-grandfather was killed, I would not be here. During that time and after them wars, the state of Minnesota put out a $200 bounty on Indian scalps. You know, and they think that it was the native people that done the scalping and started the scalping. Well, the scalping came from bounties on Indian people. They were paid, you know, before the Minnesota uprising, you know, it was like $5, $10, $20 for a native scalp. But during and after the Dakota conflict, as they call it, well, Dakota Wars in 1862, the state of Minnesota issued that $200 bounty on Native American scalps.
It's a lot of money then, huh?
Lot of money back then.
Maybe like 5,000 now or more.
You know, well, you know,
God knows, but
by one individual going out, killing and scalping a few Indians back then, they made their year's salary.
Sure.
And then after that, you know, you don't see it in any of the history books. Well, you see a few of them. Well, there is a massacre here. There is a massacre here. You know, or no, a war here and a war here. And these were villages of women and elders where the cavalry came in and just killed everybody in that camp. And this is before Wounded Knee, so, you know, we have a terrible history that the United States government has put on us. And, you know, we're just trying to get the truth told.
Yeah.
And they don't want us out there telling it. That's why there's, you know, no major news coverage. They don't want to delve into the history of what the United States government done to us. And, you know, that's why we're not getting media here, is because they do not want to let the people know what's happening to the Native American people today, now.
And your hearts have stayed so pure and so open still to all of us. And that kindness is still there. I mean, you've got every reason to really hate us, but you're not haters. I mean, the love and kindness that I feel at this camp from everyone, especially the Native people, feeling privileged to be amongst you and to be here.
You know, on that part, there's to the core of who we are, we're a prayerful people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you think about prayer, when you really pray your heart, it's not words that you use that expresses your heart, it's your feeling. And
you know, it goes to our true teachings. Our teachings are of Wo Lakota, and that is a peaceful teaching, a peaceful life. And our true beliefs are a peaceful people. And those are our teachings, is we are a peaceful, prayerful people.
But see, in that, to be prayerful, you have to, it's hard to open your heart to somebody if you have guilt and shame in your heart, especially to our Creator. And if you really want to pray and make a good prayer that you can stand behind and represent with honor, you can't have shame and guilt in your heart. We're all human beings. We're all going to make mistakes in this world. But if I do something against you as a person, then I have guilt in my heart I have shame for what I did for you. So introspectiveness plays that part and says, you know what? Go take that person some tobacco and talk to him and make that right. And eliminate that guilt and that shame. And so as a people, when we stand together, we don't have any guilt or shame over what has happened in the history of this country. We have a lot of heartbreak.
Yeah.
And that gives strong prayer. But we don't have shame for it, for being who we are. Even growing up away from my people, I had a lot of shame in my heart because I wasn't white and I didn't fit in the society that I was at. But it wasn't until I discovered my heritage and my roots and my people and my ways of our people that I started to feel that. I could let that guilt and that shame go of those things that have happened in my life, make me a more prayerful person. That's what we're taught. It's the way we're taught to be. So when you get welcomed into camp, they always talk about how Indian people, we laugh so easily. You know, even right after something really bad, we can all sit down and it just takes a half a second. We'll all laugh about things, get lighthearted again. But it's about living that way, in that kind of way where you have a balance in the earth. That kind of balance, it eliminates guilt and shame from our hearts. And so when people come non-native into a native camp, that's the reason why we can be open-hearted with people, because we don't carry that baggage. There's a lot said about being this genetic memory of things that are born in us, this historical trauma against native people from all over this continent, all over the world, truthfully. But that doesn't bring guilt and that doesn't bring shame. It only brings awareness for us. How to be better stewards. It teaches us these things we learn. Our ancestors didn't have to deal with what we're dealing with today. We don't want our children and grandchildren to have to deal with this the same way that we have to. They'll have a different set of circumstances in their life to deal with, and we don't need to make it worse. So we become good stewards. We stand and protect. We accept people that want to come and help and stand and protect beside us, not behind us, not in front of us, just together with us. That's all we ask for. Come and help us. Stand up and protect your own water. You know, that's what we're asking for people. That's what we're all doing for them here. That's why we're here. That's who we are.
And you know, like I said earlier, it's like, you know, our people has always been a welcoming people and will always be a welcoming people. And it don't matter what color or where you're from or whatever. And you know, we'll welcome everybody to come. And you know, it's, we get these certain individuals that come in that are bad people, then we ask them to leave. You know, say, you know, that kind of attitude is not welcome here. That is not what we're standing for. You know, we want this done in a peaceful, prayerful way. You know, we can't have any dissent that's gonna cause trouble for the people of this camp in that. And one thing that needs to be said for sure is to some of our fighters here is everybody's got to think about the people on the Standing Rock Reservation that live here. They are the ones that have to live here after everything is over. We got to think about them because they got to live with the consequences of what's happening right now. So we have to do this in a peaceful, prayerful way.
Thank you both very much. It's really a privilege to be here with you. It really is. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, try this name. Tu'uli Nana. And hopefully I'm not killing it. He is a Samoan man from Australia that felt to come to camp. So we chatted for a bit. So here is Tu'uli Nana.
Okay, Earth Mom here. It's November 1st. We're at Ochedi Wiconi camp, and I'm speaking to a gentleman, a Samoan gentleman from New Zealand who is now living in Australia and is now here in North Dakota as a water protector. Greetings, and please say your name so I don't mutilate it.
My name is Tu'uli Nana Iuli.
Thank you. And wow, you came from Oz to here?
Yeah, oh yeah, very much so. Two reasons. I'm a member of a group called the Polynesian Panther Party. I came to the Black Panther Party 50th anniversary in Oakland, and being in America, decided to reciprocate support for Indigenous people that have supported us in the South Pacific, First Nations people of this land, which meant obviously coming to Standing Rock.
Yeah.
And then Standing Rock means a lot to the world right now. It's been an inspiration, and this obviously to ourselves and to a lot of our people in our area. So we want to be here to support them too as well. So yeah, I consider that these are the important times of us coming together as communities across the world and adding value to each other. And I think that Standing Rock means a lot more than just stopping a pipeline. Standing Rock means people, a movement of people are trying to protect Mother Earth, and that those that are watching this everywhere around the world are getting inspiration from Standing Rock.
Yeah, I so agree with you. It's like enough is enough, and it's happening here because and we're messing up Mother Earth all over. It's just right here, right now seems to be the place where everybody's speaking in one voice.
It's such it's quite a journey, and living here in the last few days for a short period of time, but it's quite an amazing experience being here amongst First Nations people, the Hangpapa Latoka tribe, the welcome, the feeling of unity, the feeling of togetherness, the feeling of love amongst people, and wanting to understand each other. That's a big thing that people are making efforts to be of support for a major issue that is affecting our planet that we live on. And if we don't start doing it now, if we don't take urgent action everywhere, especially, here in Standing Rock,
Thank
it
you
has
so
to
much.
happen. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
The Dakota Access Pipeline is planned to go beneath the Missouri River, but where camp is, where the Standing Rock Sioux Reservation is, it's at the confluence of the Missouri River and the Cannonball River. And where the Ocheti-Wiconi camp is, there's the river, and then there's a little island that's called Turtle Island. And children are buried there. And one night, in the middle of the night, the water protectors built a bridge so that they could go over and pray on the island. The next morning, everyone went to go pray, and the result of that is what you'll see in this upcoming video. Again, with police with guns at everyone, and just shooting and tear gassing, shooting rubber bullets, but shooting, and tear gassing and macing unprotected people, unarmed people. So that's in this video here, and what happened with the water.
They're pointing guns at us. They're pointing guns. They're pointing guns. They're pointing guns. Unarmed. Unarmed. They just broke up the bridge. This is Army Corps of Engineers land. It's not DAPL land. It's not the Cannon Ranch. That was bought by DAPL.
Put your weapons down!
Put your weapons down! We're unarmed! We're unarmed!
You need a written order! You are trespassing!
Treaty land!
Where is a written order?
And it's another standoff at Standing Rock. Oh boy, they just sprayed a bunch of people. Oh dear God.
On the way back from that last direct action, it was still going on, but somehow I don't know, I didn't feel to stay there. So I started walking back to camp. And I see this young guy in a car, and he looked like he, was shivering. He was cold. And I tend to overdress because I get cold right away, so I gave him my sweater and my long johns so he could be warm, and we got to talking, and there was a little bit of disparity at camp about direct action and taking action and staying with prayer, and they can go hand in hand. Occasionally they don't, but for the most part they do. So he and I were talking about that, and his feeling about being a water protector and why he was there. This is Oshalin Turtlefeather.
Oshalin Turtlefeather, and he was in the water. Now he's in the car, kind of drying out and warming up.
Yeah.
He's in Apache from Oklahoma.
I'm Apache.
Yeah.
I got in the water because everybody else did, not just because of that, because it's big for our people. Standing up, making a stand for what is ours. The water's life, and the police over there on the other side. I don't know. It's crazy. I go in and the body just locks up, it's all cold.
Yeah.
It's worth it. I think it's worth it. Every 100% of it is.
What's your take, though, of the elders saying to prayerful resistance as opposed to, this was a direct action where a bridge was built to the other side, and I don't know, I have very mixed emotions about this. What's your take on that?
It's all confusing, to be real with you.
Yeah, it is confusing, is it not?
We need to keep our peace.
And prayer above everything
lots
else.
Of prayers and peace. People here are forgetting it. People here are forgetting they want to fight. They want to have a war.
Yeah.
We're not here to have a war.
In New York City, I say you never know who you're going to meet at Starbucks, but over at Wiconi camp, you never know who you're going to run into on Facebook Hill. So I was up there, and Enoch Kelly Haney was there. He is a former state senator from Oklahoma, and a chief with the Seminole Nation in Oklahoma. And he came and he made a statue, and he presented it. He's also an artist.
I'm 76 years old, full blood, and when I heard all of this going on, I thought, just came to a point in my life saying, I need to stand with them. Can't offer much anymore, but I think it was important for me just to be here and to make a stand with the people who are here. I donated a sculpture today or yesterday to the council of the Standing Rock Zoo, and so I'm just here just to support everyone here.
Here. I mean, you offer a lot. The elders' wisdom is big, and it's appreciated and respected. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kelly.
Okay.
Also on Facebook Hill was Cash Jackson. He's a retired sailor who was there in full uniform and holding the flag in the distress signal. Because, again, nobody can really be for what is going on with the water protectors, just inhuman treatment and unfair treatment. And he was there and stood his ground, and that was good to see him. The Veterans for Peace also had a very strong presence at camp. Here's Cash Jackson.
Well, I came today for a couple of reasons. I retired from the Navy a few months ago. I founded an organization called Restoring Freedom. And I founded this organization because I recognized the constitutional and human right infringement occurring throughout my country, and it was going unchecked. Nothing was being done about it. And I knew there was so many other people like myself who were going through what I was going through. Personally, I was prohibited from seeing my children because I expressed my First Amendment right that I fought for 20 years. And when the judge laughed at me, when he said he was going to prohibit me from seeing my children, I knew then that I had to do something about it. So I founded the organization, and I founded the organization primarily to fight at that time for reform for family law. But we have expanded that because I know that there's human rights and constitutional infringements occurring all across this country. And I didn't fight for 20 years. I didn't sacrifice everything that I sacrificed to have my children taken from me. I didn't sacrifice what I did to look on the news and see what's occurring to these people here, to see the to see the violence, being enacted upon these people, that's not what we were founded on. That's not what this country is supposed to be about. I understand there was a lot of difficulty and conflict in our country's founding, but we're so much better than what I'm seeing. And so I'm here to stand with Standing Rock. They need to be treated freely or fairly. They should be able to express their First Amendment right without being intimidated, without using our state's police force as a military-style force to intimidate peaceful people. And the day that I said I'm going to come to North Dakota was the day that I saw an elderly woman praying by herself get pepper sprayed by a police officer. And then some men tried to shield her and protect her. And I knew I had to come here and stand with these people.
Thank you. The flag's upside down, and that just means that we are in chaos and the country is in a state of emergency.
Well,
can you explain that?
Per U.S. flag code, you may invert the American flag under extreme risk of life or property. And I don't think, I'm pretty certain the video footage tells the complete story. I don't need to elaborate on the risk of life or property here.
You're right. Thank you, Cash.
Thank you so much.
In both the Sacred Stone Camp and the Wiconi Camp are the most magnificent geodesic domes. When I saw it, I was elated. It was just so beautiful as it was going up and spacious and the light in it. And it's all because of this gentleman, Joshua. He also goes by Joshua Tree, and he has the cutest little dog ever, Sunshine Bear. But Joshua brought the geodesic domes in from LA, and he's just done marvelous work. So you can hear him talk about them, and they're beautiful. Take a look at them.
Hi, it's Earth Mom, and I'm here with Joshua Tree, and we're looking at this gorgeous geodesic dome. Actually, right now we're looking at a solar panel, but here we go. We're going right by the geodesic dome here that Joshua brought in from California, didn't you?
Yep, Los Angeles.
Cool. Were you invited to bring it in? Did you offer to bring it in? How did it all start?
It started through, some members of our community really talking to members of Sacred Stone, and then we spent a lot of time working with both of the camps, listening to what was needed and responding to a real call for winterization, and also bringing our gifts and, what we think would be most helpful.
Yeah, yeah. And do you know what it's going to be used for?
We do, yeah, very much. This is actually phase 2. So phase 1, there's a 30-foot dome that's raised on the peak over there in Sacred Stone, and then this is the Red Lightning Village, which at the center has a 44-foot dome, and there'll be a smaller 20-foot dome that sits in front of it, acting as a heat lock. We have this large solar battery diesel backup array with large exterior lighting, and then tomorrow we're going to be adding 2 400-watt wind turbines, so it will be both solar and wind. And it's meant to provide a power center for the community, but also a real gathering place for people to come together in a warm sanctuary for council, for circle, for prayer, celebration, and whatever the community deems that they would like to have. And secondarily, we're also setting up guest quarters, so Kodiak tents, lotus bells, and teepees, and inviting journalists, performers, speakers, anyone who wants to come to really remove a logistical barrier of needing to set up camp, which is a challenge now, but it's going to be more intense when winter comes. And then lastly, bringing in satellite internet and removing the connectivity, so now we can live stream anything the community wants to share out. They'll be able to live stream out, and then simultaneously anyone who wants to come in, so you can imagine someone coming in doing a concert or a performance, or a speaker wanting to come in, or a journalist or whatever coming in to capture. So trying to address some of the core issues, and also supporting the community standing against the pipeline, but also standing for the new paradigm by powering this by wind and solar.
Because that's a big issue here, and it's a big component. It's one thing getting away from the oil and, honoring Mother Earth, but then the next step is all our alternative energies and alternative power sources, isn't it?
Yeah, I would even call them primary power sources, right?
Oh, I'm loving that.
Yeah,
you taught me well. Good,
yeah.
Primary power sources. Yeah. I'm with you.
Because it's really about making a quantum leap to the primary power sources, which is the sun.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Hello, yeah, it's been there. Can we take a look inside?
Yeah, let's go. Let's
All
go
right.
for a little tour.
Hey, Sunny. Hi, Sunny. How are you?
Bear, huh?
Sunshine Bear.
Yeah, Sunshine Bear. Oh, nice.
Hey, hey, hey. Oh, music already. Way cool. Hi. Hello.
Nice, who brought this? Whose dome is this? Is this your guys'?
Yeah, we brought it.
This is beautiful.
We were wondering if we
These are heaters right here. You see them? Right there. Solar heaters. Oh, the first round dance in here. How nice will that be? How many people can you get in here?
You can have up to 200 people standing.
Way cool.
We do have the electric heating elements, so you can see these are infrared, which are going to provide not only heat and power, heat, but also kind of some ambient lighting as well.
They're beautiful. And when I come back at the end of November, can I come in here?
We would love it. Please come back.
Awesome.
Come and join. Thank you.
A large group of clergy came to camp in early November. And what they did was, at camp, they burned the doctrine of discovery, the papal bull. You know, that supposedly gave the white people the right to take land that wasn't theirs and to harm people and just do whatever they pleased because people weren't like them. But they also went to the rotunda at the state capitol to give letters to Governor Dalrymple. When they were at the state capitol, Reverend Dykstra is also talking about the disparity of the police there, how all the clergy were not roughed up and were treated very well, but there was a native man with them who they arrested right away and treated in a really poor manner. So here's Reverend Dykstra.
My name is the Reverend Laurel Dykstra. I'm here from the Anglican Church of Canada, and we were part of the group that yesterday morning in the Sacred Fire burned the doctrine of discovery and repudiated that doctrine. A group of clergy of a bunch of different religious traditions, 14 people, were inside the
rotunda?
Inside the rotunda, sorry. And sat down there, locked down there, refused to leave with the intention of seeing and speaking to the governor to call for his clearing of the road, removal of his personal assets that are funding the Dakota Access Pipeline, and to repent as a Christian from his involvement in this ongoing colonization and oppression of Indigenous people. What happened was 14 people were arrested there. A large group, about 120 of us, sang and prayed and made our way around then to the governor's mansion. And a small group crossed the road and with the intention of bringing sweetgrass, and again their message of a call to repentance, a call to stand for Indigenous rights, for the land justice, for the right of people to water and life. And the difference in the way that a white majority group of clergy were treated and Indigenous people here on the land were treated the day before was shocking and egregious. People were treated extremely gently and respectfully yesterday, and people here the day preceding that were shot with rubber bullets, were pepper sprayed, and while we were there, during the arrests, an Indigenous man in the crowd was targeted and pulled from the crowd, was singled out because he's one of the people who has been part of the security and the longtime water protectors here. We were able to, by refusing to leave, we were able to negotiate his release. And so those who were arrested were there as an autonomous solidarity action in support of the Standing Rock Sioux.
What happened with the letter that you brought?
That remains to be seen. I would be very surprised if the call to the governor reached him.
Thanks.
But
Mark.
certainly he knew that we were there.
Yeah, he knows we're here for sure, and thank you. And all with this, there's the airplanes going over, the helicopters going over, constant surveillance, and right now we're by the Cannonball River if you want to take a look. And on the other side is the Rosebud Camp. It's really pretty here. I'm grateful to be here, just didn't wish it have to be like this. Okay, Earth Mom out for WBAI. Thank you for listening and support Standing Rock. And prayers for Mother Earth, prayers for the water protectors. Thank you. Greetings, Earth Mom at Wiconi. I'm here with Caesar, and we also have construction going on for winter, so forgive us, but everything's in the moment. Everything's always going on here. Just talking to Caesar, he has a hemp company in Portland, Oregon, and I'm really psyched about it, and I want you to tell everybody a little bit about it.
Yeah, so I own Planet Over Profit Apparel. It's a sustainable fashion company. And what we're doing is allowing the average person to purchase a shirt and be an activist by wearing the message that is Planet Over Profit. You're not only supporting sustainable fashion, but you're also standing up for the planet itself and being kind of like a subtle activist in a way.
Tell us some of the benefits of hemp and of using hemp.
The benefits of hemp is it uses less water than cotton. It's less destructive of the land. It has mold and bacteria resistant properties, which is great for odor and sustainability of your clothing. And also it's just a really universal kind of plant that is used for food, clothing, textiles, you name it.
You
it
can
can
write
make
on
anything.
it.
You can
Eat
write.
it.
You can build a house with it. So it's really, it's our past and our future, I strongly believe.
And how does it grow? Does it really grow plentifully and replenish itself?
Yeah, so what it does, it not only preserves land, it actually gives back nutrients to the land as opposed to taking from it as cotton does and other fabrics and stuff of that nature. So yeah, it's really, really awesome.
And what brought you here to Standing Rock?
What brought me out here to stand with my brothers and sisters. I'm Native American from Tucson, Arizona, with Pasquayaki tribe, and really just I was moved by the actions of my brothers and sisters here, and to stand not only for the message of the company, but for my ancestors as well.
Awesome, thank you. And thank you, Andre. I want to just turn the camera around on you and say big thanks. Bye.
Hi, it's Earth Mom for WBAI. We're at Wiconi on the Cannonball River, and I'm here with Kim from Orcas Island, Washington, and she's here with her partner and some friends, and they've been helping out cooking and just doing whatever they can, going on the direct actions, being here. And Kim, I just wanted you to talk about why you're here and what this means to you.
Well, for me, this is an honor to be here. For me, I had to take a leap of faith and face my fears from what I was seeing online. I've had the privilege of being able to come here for a couple sun dances, and I know people here, so I really want to be here and help this land, these people, and I'm so inspired by the gathering here that it's heartbreaking, and it's heartbreaking wide open to see everyone who's come and who's heard the call, and I know that there are people around the world who have our backs, and I'm very grateful for that. It's such a contrast because it's so beautiful here just to kind of live in this way, and then at the same time there's all this destruction going on right over there that has triggered this, but being here it's indescribable. I want to take this and bring it home and keep this movement going, because there's injustice against people and the land all over, and we need to keep this going.
What do you have in your bank account? Money! Money! Yes. Your answer is money. Well, I'm here to tell you something different. You don't have money in your bank account. When you visit Standing Rock and you stand on the shore with the water protectors side by side, facing down, tear gas canisters and rubber bullets and concussion grenades and live rounds inside of M4s and zip ties to arrest people. That's what you have in your bank account.
So, and you're from WBAI in New York City.
I am.
Great radio station, 99.5.
FM on your dial.
That's
yeah.
right, FM.
I'm Earth Mom. Happy to talk to you, Josh Fox.
Nice to meet you.
What's your take on the new administration coming in and talking even about privatizing reservations?
Well, this is obviously one of the scariest possibilities that, Donald Trump will literally go to war with the native people of this country by trying to turn the reservations into oil and gas zones. And this has been mentioned many times. So I worry that there will be an even greater onslaught against native people in this country by the incoming administration. But what I will say is this: these indigenous tribes in America have been leading the charge of a very new kind of activism, and I think we're stronger. I think that this new movement will be stronger when you take all the environmentalists, the fractivists, the climate change activists, the people working on racial justice, and they fall in line behind the incredible native leadership that we're seeing out of Standing Rock. I think we win. I think we beat anybody.
The camps at Standing Rock, the water protector camps, may be closed now, but the struggle continues to fight for clean water, to honor Mother Earth, and to respect the treaties that were made with the first people of this land. And now with the present administration, it's more important than ever to stand in solidarity with our Native brothers and sisters and learn from them how to honor Mother Earth and to go forward into new ways with renewable energy. Joy Braun, a coordinator with the Indigenous Environmental Network, tells us some ways that we can help to fund DAPL, the Dakota Access Pipeline, and other pipelines, and other ways to make our voices heard and our presence known.
The divestment campaign has taken $57 billion out of this project. We need to continue to divest. We need to follow Seattle's lead in getting our cities to get their money out of Wells Fargo and TD, ING, and Chase, and Citibank, and Morgan Stanley, and all those different things. If you belong to a union, talk to your union reps and make sure that they're not banking with those. Make sure your union is not backing Dakota Access. You have a voice in your union. There's things that you can do. You can go and lead a divestment action against, one of the banks. We've asked people to get to the streets, go to your city councils, go to your county, go to your state reps and say, hey, we're demanding no Dakota Access. He's violating the law. They're violating Trump's own memorandum because he said to follow the law in his memorandum, but they're violating their own law. And it's really important to remember that Trump has investment in Phillips 66, and Phillips 66 owns 1/3 of this pipeline. So, look in your own portfolios, look in your own 401ks and see what you have invested. Make sure you're not following, you're not supporting Dakota Access. You have the right to ask that. Demand change, because what they do to us up here with the water cannons and the sound concussion grenades and the LRADs, the sound cannons and the pepper spray and the tear gas and the rubber bullets, they're going to do to you guys. Trump is going crazy. What they're doing to us, they're going to take away everybody's rights. And we have to stand up and say, this is not our America. We demand a better way.